Let me tell you, if you ever think buying a house out in the hills means you're safe from HOA madness, think again. No joke. I bought a 4-bedroom place in Sandoval County to escape every flavor of city drama, rush hour, fake deadlines, random people telling you what you can't do with your own land, and somehow trouble still found me. And not just any trouble, an HOA that didn't even legally exist, sending enforcers with forged maps trying to steal my home, my rooms, even my peace of mind. You ever had someone try to take your daughter's bedroom because of a pamphlet? Yeah, that happened. See, after 15 years of wrangling contracts and paperwork all across the Southwest, I was desperate for a little quiet. A real porch, mountain air, enough space to plant a garden and forget what deadlines felt like. My wife Ellie and our daughter June were just as hungry for a clean start. No neighbors breathing down our necks. No HOA rules telling us what color to paint the mailbox. This house had good bone stone, exterior wraparound porch, huge maples shading the yard. I finally carved out a real office for myself. Blueprints, drafting table, not just a laptop on a folding chair. We'd only been there 2 days when the neighbors from the east stopped by with banana bread, and that look old folks get when they want to warn you, but can't quite say it outright. Watch out for the HOA folks next door, they whispered. I just laughed. We're not in an HOA, I told them, and you'd think I'd said I planned to raise goats in the living room. They just shook their heads. Monday comes, and in the mailbox, first sign of nonsense, a shiny envelope embossed, seal, Silver Ridge Estates Compliance Board. Inside a pamphlet, an invitation to a mandatory orientation session. Funny thing is, my address was spot on, but our property wasn't even in their development. Hell, Silver Ridge wasn't even built when my place went up. Just to be sure, I dug out the county records, triple-checked parcel maps, deeds, the whole nine. Nope, not part of Silver Ridge. So like any sane person, I ignored it. Thursday, another letter. This one's not a welcome, it's a warning. Failure to provide access to the required dual guest unit quarters. What does that even mean? I'm supposed to hand over 2 rooms in my own house. Comply within 5 days. Or face relocation. Signed, Karen Delaney. President. Karen. Of course. I'd seen her pressed blazer, a look on her face like the world owed her rent. She'd stared at our house like she was appraising it for auction. Enough was enough. I mailed back the proof parcel maps. Deeds a big, not your property stamped on every page. Sent it certified both to Silver Ridge and City Hall. Next day I get a call. This is Danielle from Silver Ridge Legal Affairs. There's been a jurisdictional update. Your property is now a dual unit asset guest usage rotation, 2 furnished rooms, mandatory compliance. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. You're joking, right? No, sir. Failure to comply may result in forced entry. I hung up, then spent the rest of the day printing every shred of proof I had, original maps, deeds, zoning records, stacked them like armor. But trouble never calls ahead. 3 days later, it's Wednesday morning, coffee in hand, when a sleek black SUV creeps up my private driveway. Out step 2 men in dark uniforms, HOA Enforcement Division stitched on the jacket. Not police, not security, just 2 guys built like bouncers and acting like they had a warrant. They didn't knock, didn't announce, just walked through the side gate, one snapping photos like he was casing the place, the other reading off a residential reallocation directive. They actually tried to tell me which rooms to give up, the southwest bedroom, my office near the kitchen. Temporary guest housing, he called it, like I was running a damn hostel. I gave them 10 seconds to leave before I called the sheriff. They didn't flinch, just recited their script. But I wasn't bluffing. I called the sheriff, handed Deputy Cole every document, showed him the fake directives. He rolled his eyes. Silver Ridge like this wasn't the first time. But the law is slow, and Cole told me straight up, unless I pressed trespassing charges and went to court, it'd drag on. You'll need a judge to shut this down, he said. I was furious, but not beaten. That night I reinforced the gates, updated cameras, backed up every second of video. Next day I called in my own backup. Hector Sandoval, a cadastral surveyor, real deal, hates liars. He scanned my property lines, then shook his head. They grafted your parcel onto theirs. This is administrative fraud. I had him prep a boundary dispute report, GIS data, municipal logs, property lineage, the works. Then I called Leah Winters, my friend, who's a land use attorney and has declared war on HOAs more than once. By the next day, Leah had filed for a restraining order and lodged a complaint at the county office. But these folks had their tentacles everywhere. A clerk flagged our complaint. Turns out she was married to a councilman, and Karen's husband chaired the housing committee. A cozy little ring of influence: forge the maps, update the records, send enforcers. So we went higher, all the way to the state auditor and the DA, alleging fraud, intimidation, attempted illegal occupancy. I plastered my boundary map right on the gate. Not HOA property. Unauthorized entry is trespassing. I barely slept, not scared, just boiling mad. They were trying to steal my house with paperwork. Friday, another letter. This time it wasn't even in an envelope. Final compliance enforcement Sunday, 10:00 a.m. No signature, just instructions to vacate 2 rooms or face legal escalation. Ellie was scared. I was pissed. Spent Saturday wiring up motion sensors, linking cameras, cleaning the shotgun, not for violence, just to make it clear. I left a legal packet at the gate: deeds, court orders, police log, and a restraining order. These people had nothing real, but I knew they'd come anyway. Sunday, 9:58 a.m. Like clockwork, black SUV. Same 2 goons plus Karen herself, all pearls and power walk, marching like she owned the place. They didn't ring, didn't call when tried the gate, then snipped the latch with bolt cutters and waltzed in. That was my line. I hit the switch. Sirens blared, floodlights snapped on the whole yard, alive with warning unauthorized entry. Karen froze. One guy bolted, the other kept coming until I stepped out on the upper deck. Remington in hand. Didn't point it, just racked it, loud enough to wake the dead. Karen's face twisted rage. Fear, you name it. You're threatening us, she yelled. I told her I'm showing you the same courtesy you showed my daughter's bedroom. She backed up real quick. This time, I didn't call the sheriff. I called the state police and filed for attempted forced entry vandalism violation of a restraining order. 2 hours later, a trooper took the report, watched the footage, and said, "This is going up the chain." And it did. The very next day, Leah and I submitted everything: audio, video, maps, broken gate, even the bolt cutter marks, to the Attorney General and HUD. I also called a local news reporter, Cal Torres, told him I had footage of a private HOA trying to break into my house. He showed up that night, ran the story, KRQE 13 prime time. Private HOA accused of land grab. By sunrise, my inbox was flooded with messages from other folks, some in New Mexico, others in Colorado and Arizona, all with the same nightmare, the same fake boundary tricks. And then HUD called. A federal agent, Marcus Delano, wanted every document, every video. Within days, a DOJ investigator and housing inspector were walking my property, asking questions about other neighbors. I told them about Ms. Alvarez, a retired teacher down the hill. She'd gotten the same threats, even started paying dues because she thought she had no choice. The feds visited her 5 other houses too, found 2 already paying, another had let inspectors inside. The story blew up. New headline: federal investigation opens into HOA corruption scheme. Suddenly, the whole game changed. Grand jury subpoenas municipal records office under review. One clerk confessed, said Karen Delaney's Cultural Preservation Trust had gifted iPads, wine fridges, airline vouchers, all in exchange for adjusted zoning. Mob tactics with HOA letterhead. My attorney filed for a total injunction, no more contact from HOA agents. Then we went big class action suit, 5 neighbors and counting, $330,000 each for damages. Karen tried a last-ditch move, sent a guy in a Range Rover private mediator offering me $15,000 cash to settle. Give up 2 rooms, drop the lawsuits. I told him he had 10 seconds to leave before I made his offer viral. My lawyer said, "That's witness tampering. This just went criminal." Then the mayor stepped in, governor too, publicly denouncing HOA collusion. Karen disappeared, but not for long. Her arrest was the opposite of dramatic. 2 plainclothes feds cuffs, not a word. Her neighbors watched from behind their hedges, phones half raised. The charges: falsifying records, wire fraud, conspiracy, trespassing, intimidation, abuse of nonprofit status. Turns out she'd pulled the same guest room scam on at least 8 families. One elderly couple even turned their garage into a guest pod out of fear. Once Karen was in custody, 2 more arrests. Municipal clerk and her husband, who ran the nonprofit. The HOA board was hit with a sweeping cease and desist. All accounts frozen, the whole operation shut down. Federal investigators announced a national probe into HOA zoning fraud. I stood by my gate and gave an interview under a new sign: "Not part of your HOA. No trespassing." Lawyer on speed dial. Neighbor after neighbor started telling me their own stories. I told them, "Start with your records. Know your rights. Don't let anyone bully you." By the time Karen's trial date was set, Silver Ridge Estates was a ghost town. No more meetings. The Facebook page gone. Neighbors stopped waving. Me. I reinforced my property: iron fence, electronic locks, motion lights. Then I turned the 2 rooms they wanted into my own war room and a mini museum, framed the fake documents, even made a cardboard cutout of Karen mid-scream with a plaque: "Unlawful Entry Exhibit A." People started coming by: reporters, neighbors, even a guy from Texas with his own HOA horror story. That's when I started my YouTube channel, HOA Mythbusters. First video, they wanted my guest rooms. Now they're in jail. 200,000 views in a week. The lawsuit grew: more neighbors, more stories. The biggest property rights class action in state history. Karen's husband took a plea deal and flipped. Clerks went to prison. HOA dissolved, assets seized, board banned for life. Judge asked me if I had anything to say. I told him I didn't move here to fight. But if you try to take my home, I'll fight harder than you can imagine. He nodded. Now every morning I sip coffee on my porch, look out at the hills, and I know they're still mine. No HOA signs, no forms, just peace. And a metal plaque on my gate: "Private property. Not part of your HOA. Trespassers will be documented and destroyed online." Petty maybe, but it's the best insurance I've ever had. So tell me, where do you stand? Ever fought back against an HOA or had your own property? Nightmare. Drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to share this with someone who needs to know their rights. Justice isn't automatic, but it's damn sure worth fighting for.